Shall we stop, my lord? No, right that the city is forsaken.
Hi, this is Ted. Today I'm going to be actually talking about Jeremiah. I'm going to be telling you how I can do it from Perplexity Pro, and I might probably get into one of my other favorite apps, which would be Gemini, or let's see, what else do I use? Claude. All right, I can tell you a little bit about their history, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to go right into Bible. And the very first thing I want to know here, I'm going to go to Perplexity. Why am I going to Perplexity Pro first? The reason I'm going to Perplexity.ai is actually what it is, Perplexity.ai. The reason I go to that is because this tends to be the most accurate, tends to dig in deepest, as far as I can tell. I'm not sure about that, but they give me a lot of sources, which I need if I'm ever wanting to be very careful about what I say or what I research. So today I'm going to be getting into Jeremiah. I want to know, when Jeremiah weeps, he weeps for his people in Israel. Is he doing it for him? Is he doing it? Or is God weeping for Israel? The reason I ask this is because there's a lot of there are books put out in the back of the 1940s and 50s about the pain of God, and it might be 60s. I'm not sure when they were put out, but Kitamori put out a book, and I think it was called The Pain of God, and definitely Jürgen Moltmann also did a lot of studying, borrowing from Kitamori, and definitely put out some books on how God suffers. And we see this in Hosea when he sees his wife leaving him and prostituting herself, and comparing that to Israel. Now here's what they're basically saying. This is genuinely fascinating and a contested exegetical question. And here's the thorough answer. Excuse me, I'm trying to read this really fast. Both, and that's the theological point. The short answer is it's deliberately both, and the ambiguity is intentional. I like that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just leave that. Okay, I got to figure out where this cursor is. So it's intentional, all right? There you go. And the key passage of the speaker gives you the passages that we're going through. Bosworth's analysis found that God's weeping appears in all these, a distribution wider than Jeremiah's personal laments. All right, this is not innocent ambiguity as Bosworth. I don't know who Bosworth is, so let's find out. I'll go down here in the bottom and say, you mention Bosworth. Why? And who is he? You don't have to put question marks after it. AI picks up where you're going. It's really good at discerning where your head is going. I make a lot of goof ups on my prompts, and AI tends to do a really good job of figuring out exactly where I'm at. And part of this is it learns who I am and what I do and all these things, and it picks up on all that, and that's good. So before I move on, I do need to tell you, I'm going to be doing a combination of things. I'm going to be telling you what's wrong with AI, and I'm going to be also telling you how to use it properly, because there's a huge difference between the two. If you use it properly, oh my gosh, it is so powerful in helping you dig in. And I hope you will see that even here. And not only that, but the fact of the matter is, if you cheat, if you just kind of just accept whatever it says, you're going to be giving into a lot of what is called hallucinations, and you don't want to do that. You're going to be just passing on garbage. And actually, that is called AI slop. AI slop is basically people just accepting whatever AI does or says. It's very prominent in the art world. if you're not good at prompting and directing it. I compare this to, you are a manager over a company and you have all these people who work for you. Do you let them tell you where to go and do everything, or do you control it? You as a manager, it is your responsibility to take control, and you must take control of AI. All right. Who is David Bosworth? He's an associate professor at the Catholic University of America. And this is an associate professor of the Old Testament for Catholic University. So he likes that. And his research languages include Biblical Greek. Now, let's say I want to challenge this. I don't know. How can you give me the sources? Well, actually, it's giving all the sources here. Let's see what this is. David Bosworth, Curriculum, Catholic University. There we go. So the sources are good. Like I say, Perplexity really does a great job. So I'm going to accept most of what he says. If I really want to continue with this, if I want to dig in, I'm going to dig in deeper. And I will do a little bit more research. It depends upon how deep you want to go into this. Anyway, so back to this particular page. This is not an innocent ambiguity. As he documents the Septuagint, LXX means it's the Septuagint. It's the Greek version written, I think it's like 200-300 BC. And it's what Jesus quoted from, well, his disciples quoted from and stuff like that, because the Septuagint was the dominant Greek translation of the Hebrew in the days of Jesus. All right, the Septuagint translators, and by the way, the Septuagint has some of its background, some of its writing is way, by 1,000 some years earlier than the Hebrew stuff that we have, because the Hebrew translation we have is coming way later, but we have much earlier versions of the Septuagint, but it's coming from a different source than the Hebrew Bible we have. All right, enough of that. The Septuagint translators and many modern commentators have actively resisted the idea of a weeping God. Now that brings up a whole if I really want to get into this, I'm going to dig into the Septuagint. I'm going to find out, what do they say? How do they translate these verses? How do they make it so it's not ambivalent? And that would be another direction I could take, but I don't care to right now. The theological assumption of divine impassibility. I think they just don't want to see that God is like a human, that he cries, he weeps. I think it's all symbolic, but the fact of the matter is the pain of God is real. And we see God giving himself over to the cross in Jesus. That God cannot be emotionally affected. God cannot be emotionally affected. That's their argument. Led both ancient Greek translators and later Western interpreters reassign the tears to the prophet rather than God. It's a theological suppression built into the translation choices. Ooh, that's good. All right, so I didn't realize, I never knew this. Okay, this is new information for me. How important is it? It depends. If you're studying, if you are getting a PhD in the book of Jeremiah, you better dig into this stuff and look at how much faster I got to this stuff using AI than I would have researching, trying to read 100 different books. It's hundreds of different books. Yeah, eventually it builds up, but this I get quicker, right to the core of what I'm looking for. Does God weep? Now, I don't think he physically weeps. I'm not going to get into that. But does God weep? I think so. I believe in the pain of God. All right. It's a theological suppression built in translation choices. All right. Heschel's divine pathos framework. Abraham Joshua Heschel, The Prophets, it's the book, 1962. And once again, if I want to dig into this, I'm going to get into the sources. I'm going to ask for the sources. Here he's giving me one of the modern day sources, but it's Walter Brueggemann. It's written by Walter Brueggemann. When Heschel took up the prophets, he obviously would have been immersed in historical, critical study, etc., etc. So you can dig it. If I click on that, I'm going to come up with the whole article. Actually, this one is a introduction. It's also got a film we could watch. Isn't that exciting? Okay, I'm just going to go ahead. Oh, that doesn't look like Abraham Heschel. Oh, she's talking about Heschel a bit. All right. Enough of that. I don't have time because I'm moving on. The symbolic morning reading. We'll get into that. Anyway, this will. Before I get into that, divine pathos. They feel that what they feel, we feel as prophets. Not me, but a prophet would feel the pain of God. They feel what God feels. And that's precisely something that Kazoh Kitamori brought up. He believed that he was a survivor of World War II from Japan, and he believed his people personified and were able to experience that pain that God felt and feels. And Moltmann kind of took off after that with his own version of that. Anyway, commenting on Heschel, notes that Heschel's genius was going beneath historical critical analysis to the passion and person of God mediated by poetry. On this reading, when Jeremiah weeps, he is not representing God's feelings, he is participating in. I like that. He is participating and giving human expression, to them, to God's feelings. And can that happen even today? I think it can. I'm doing a study of a particular time period in my life where I definitely feel like I experienced something that, not the pain of God, but the pain of other people who were coming to our country and who were abandoned. And I'm not going to get into that at all, but there was a period in my life I definitely feel like I could relate. And maybe a lot of this is empathy. We empathize with God. We empathize with each other. Anyway, Terence Fretheim, one of the foremost scholars of divine suffering in the Old Testament, captures it well. The mourning of God and prophet is so symbiotic that in everything we hear the anguish of both. Ooh, that's pretty awesome, pretty cool. The theological payoff. This is kind of the conclusion for perplexity. What makes the exegetically important? What makes this exegetically for a course? It knows I teach, so it's giving me. It's directing this to me. Context is that it says about the nature of God in the Hebrew prophets. The book of Jeremiah presents a passible God, one who grieves, who is genuinely wounded by covenant betrayal, whose wrath and tears flow together. I love this stuff. This is not a detached divine judge. As Jeremiah 31:20 puts it, is not Israel still my son, my darling child? I often have to punish him, but I still love him. That's why I long for him. The judgment and the tears are inseparable, which is precisely why the Septuagint and the impassibility tradition found it so theologically uncomfortable. In short, Jeremiah weeps, but he weeps as the embodied voice of the weeping God. The book invites readers to see the prophet's tears not as separate from Yahweh's grief, but as the human form it takes in history. Oh, this is interesting. It's answering my Bosworth thing. Now, who is Bosworth? I went down to that before. Okay, we went through all that. All right, I'm going to wrap it up right there. And this is Ted. Please like and subscribe. I would like to do a lot more of these kinds of things. You will see me talking to it, challenging sometimes what I see in AI, working through Scripture, And I will talk more about this and different subjects. If you like this, and if you have any subject you'd like me to dig into, I can. And as I mentioned, as I really want to emphasize, working with AI is how would I put this? You not only need to be the one in control, you need to work with it. You need to fight it, battle for your knowledge, because you don't want to be giving in to just cheap answers, slop. You want to understand how it's thinking. And when it makes mistakes, you got to be able to pick up on that. You got to be able to handle it properly and wisely so that you can be so much better at digging into the scriptures. And this is Ted. Please like and subscribe. I need to build this channel a little bit more, and I think I'll be doing a lot more of this. Bye.